Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Max Q. I'm Mollie Jahner, the host. But I'm not the important part. The part that's awesome is we have Valerie here today joining us. I'm very excited for this guest. She has started multiple businesses. She's got this amazing, thriving community she's building and a lot of wisdom that she's going to share today. And so, for all of the founders in the audience, especially female founders, pull up a chair because I think this is going to be a really good one. So, with that, Valerie, please feel free to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Molly. What an intro. Wow. Yeah, where to start? I'm tuning in from Portugal, which is my new home since last year. Previously, mostly focused on the startup scene in the Netherlands, but it was really time for me to venture more into nature and work from here. But yeah, I let me think where to start. I would say my entrepreneurial journey started more than 10 years ago. I never really had a real job. Honestly, I don't think I'm made for it. Like, if you put me in an office 5 days a week and tell me what to do, I'm gonna run out screaming. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like I wasn't chasing a career. I was chasing questions about how the world works. And that's what's been fueling me ever since. I started off just sort of hopping from project to project in West Africa at the time, really
Okay.
following my curiosity around food chains, like where do our products come from? I was learning a lot, failing a lot. At one point, I thought I had set up a organic mountain farm with the community, and when I ended up coming back, there was no farm. Like,
No.
so yeah, anyway, that was all a great learning ground for eventually when I came back to the Netherlands and I met my co-founder, who also became my fiance later on, and we founded an impact-driven tea brand, Frank About Tea. And that's, I would say, is how the I kind of immersed myself in the startup scene. We were really trying to, I think we were more of, I would say, more of a challenger brand, trying to disrupt like big tea was consumed beverage in the world next to water. So we were really taking on the big guys.
I have some right here.
Yeah, very, naive, very full of energy at the time, and like just, went for
Well, it's
it.
probably caffeinated tea, right? So that helps with the energy
Yeah.
levels.
For sure. I don't know if you've ever experienced a tea high, but it actually exists. Yeah, it definitely exists. It's quite amazing. Um, yeah, and then we had a pretty good start at the time. We were getting lots of media attention, like, the Forbes list, like prime time TV talk show, all that stuff, you name it. But I think as many founders probably listening know is that all the media coverage in the world doesn't mean much if you don't have a working business model. Um, so I think I would say like as a tea brand, we were definitely able to build traction despite the Netherlands being a coffee drinking nation, but it was really hard to scale up properly as a standalone brand because it's like really a volume game with tiny, tiny margins. Um, and yeah, sort of through the process, honestly, I burned out horribly. And I never could have imagined myself voicing the word burnout. I didn't do that until way later, actually. I was very much in denial. Um, I feel like when we fool ourselves, we can fool the world. So yeah, that was intense. I was pretty much just on autopilot for a few years, honestly. And I felt like the more investors were getting on board, actually, except one angel was female, all of them were men. Um, I really felt I was like performing, like more and more, like
Mm.
performing as the kind of founder I felt was expected of me.
Right. That
And
they
how
would
I was,
invest in. Yeah.
yeah, and that would they'd invest in, and just sort of kind of keeping up, I felt like I was so driven, well, I still am, but like, it was so in an unhealthy way where I felt like there was no room for vulnerability, no room for mistakes. So, always trying to keep up the good image.
Right.
Um,
Right. The smile. You can never be
no,
unhappy or angry or maybe upset.
yeah, no. And the thing is, I feel like the better, and women are very good at that, the better we are at like autopilot, people don't see it, and that's when you can keep it up much longer, because there's no reflection in your environment, because people, you know, don't realize.
Right.
And I was getting really good at that, and that was scary to me that I was able to. At one point, we had some board members from Unilever actually at our office for a conversation. I remember just sort of talking, but then zooming out and sort of watching myself talk and thinking, how is she doing this? Because she's not. I wasn't at the table. I wasn't there. Um, yeah, so that was sort of that journey where I felt, and I see that happening with a lot of female founders, and it's also why I now do what I do today. That there's this, we have our inner world, and then there's the outer world that we're operating in, and when there's a gap between that, and the gap for me became bigger and bigger, where
Mhm.
I felt like I was, moving away from my authentic self and the woman I had become after 5 years of building the company. That that takes a lot of energy to manage that gap.
It
And
does. It does. Well, I have a question actually. How
yeah,
long did it take for you to recover from burnout?
um, honestly, I feel like I'm still learning. I mean, I feel really good now. But I'm not the same person, and I don't work in the same way. I really had to unlearn a lot of things, decondition myself on certain beliefs.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, it turned my life honestly completely around. And that was part for me also moving into nature. I knew that that was what I needed,
Hmm.
to fully heal, recover. And I still need that every day. And it's just become my new way of life. And in that way, I'm very able to function pretty well.
Hmm.
Um, but I will never ever go back to working the way I did at the time.
Yeah, I love that. Well, can you tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing right now? Because I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, what ended up happening, I decided to step out of the business, and we found some early buyers. So the company still exists, really seeing them thrive now. It's really, really cool to see. So that allowed me to, yeah, have some time and space to feel into what was going to be next. Didn't really have a plan. I call it my surrender experiment. Yeah, sort of just open myself to whatever's going to come my way. And what I started noticing, I was, like consulting with startups, do a lot of impacts, like impact measurement, impact work, fundraising. And I noticed that was more and more female founders coming my way. Um, so yeah, that kind of got me thinking like, okay, what's happening here? It was never really conscious idea of working with female founders necessarily. But I was enjoying just so much, and seeing like, um I mean, I feel like obviously we're all equal, but um, yeah, women are different. Women have a different experience in business. Um, we have cycles, there's seasons maybe of pregnancy or loss or other things happening. Um, and those things need to be accounted for. Like, we are not made for the 9 to 5, 5-day week work week. That was not designed with women in mind.
I
So
love
yeah, I
that.
was
It's true.
so I was seeing that, yeah, I was seeing that more and more, and then I felt like, okay, I think, especially when it comes to the impact sustainability space, I feel like we need to reunite. We need to come together more as women. I think women are very inherently closely connected to the earth and to community, to solutions for a more beautiful world. So it just makes sense that we're building businesses in that domain, and I think we should, build them in the best possible way. Um, and that's where the creation of the 1 million women community came in. How do we bring female founders, all, trying to change the world,
Yes.
together, but also, um, yeah, make sure that we are building our businesses in a way that work for us in the
Mhm.
long term, so that we don't burn out, and that we, don't feel we're losing ourselves in the business, that we're able to grow along with the business, and really like put our magic out there and grow really impactful, successful companies. And that requires a certain approach that's not in the mainstream literature, startup literature, from blitz scaling to 0 to 200. That's just like, it's just not in there. And I think we have to reshape a lot of the startup culture for that to be able to happen, for women to really thrive um, as business owners and founders, to get the right funding for their business, to make sure that, you know, we have the right people on board. And yeah, we in that we want to support as much as we can from the community angle. And that looks differently for different phases. We recently opened up, so still early days, but what I can see already is I have talks with female founders. Like one day, it's yesterday was Pakistan, it was Costa Rica the day before, the US, Sweden, like it's all over the place. And I'm seeing beyond the cultural nuances that we're all going through the same thing. And
That
we're all, you know, dealing with the same challenges, but we're all also just full of dedication, vision, brilliance, and that just makes me so happy to see. And we want to play a role in making sure that, you know, we don't lose ourselves in the process, and we really step into our unique power as individuals and as women in business.
so that's fantastic. And you guys are growing quickly. How can female founders from this group join 1 million women?
Yeah, we offer like a free base membership,
Okay.
1million-women.com.
Okay.
You can sign up for free. You'll be getting like a bi-weekly community update and lots of free resources, mostly around fundraising and leadership. And then, yeah, we have different programs that we're running. And it all starts with sort of the becoming an online base virtual member. And then from there on, there's different ways to get involved with the community in more intensive ways. Yeah.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
I guess I have a couple more questions because I really feel like there's a lot to unpack about changing startup culture.
Mm.
So, if you had to pick three things, and that's always tough to like, pick three things, but three things that you think need to change, or you're thinking of, when you talk to other founders, like these are things that I spot as red flags. What do you say?
I think the one thing that pops up immediately is this obsessive focus on exit and on it's all about like, oh, I'm on my way to build the 100 million. I'm on my 7 figures, I'm on 8 figures, I'm on 9 figures. Versus what are you actually selling? Like what value are you actually adding? Like why you exist, right? Like you don't exist just to become a $100 million company. That's
I
great,
mean,
but
I
like
think some people do, right? I mean, I think that's a huge part of it. They do. That's the reason they become a startup.
yeah, fair enough. I honestly don't think though, given the statistics, it's not the best way to gain wealth very quickly. I mean, let's be honest. I think there's much better ways to invest your time and money if you want to do make a quick buck.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, nothing against making money, and making money is important, and it's what, enables us to grow our impact and reach more customers and people all around the world. So it's great, but it's a vehicle, right? It's not like, or let's say it's an outcome of what you're actually putting out there and of the value you're creating. And I think this obsession with exit is not really healthy, and it's making a lot of founders also choose certain types of capital that are maybe not suitable to their business model and not suitable to their vision and their goals. And once you are in that, hamster wheel of funding, and once you're in the VC game, it's really hard to get out of, and it's really hard to reverse any decisions you make. And once you're in there, you expect it to grow like crazy, and it's that is the model, and that's how it works, and that's what you need to be doing. And it can often come at the expense of why you initially started the business in the first place.
Mhm.
I think not every business is suited. I think that's, or if you say, my second point would be over the glamorization of the VC model as well. That's like the only path to funding, and it's like this sort of badge of accomplishment and honor if you get funding from a VC. Versus
Right?
being honest, like unless you are like in tech or tech enabled, um, VC doesn't make sense. I mean, in most of the cases, and it's just a waste of energy and time to be going down that route. And there are amazing other funding sources out there. I love family offices, which are great, especially, these are more generational wealth in
Mm.
which, the younger generations really focused on creating more impact and doing good for the world. And they're much more in there for the longer term vision. So those are great. I love angels. You have obviously other institutional investors that are, yeah, that are not as aggressive as the VCs. Some of the VCs are. So I mean, there's options.
Mhm.
But I feel the startup culture is just overemphasizing on the one way to grow and the one way to raise funding, and that's a shame.
Yes. What would be a last
There's only
clarification?
three parts, right?
Yeah, just one more. Like, what do you think? Like, I love the burnout piece. You really pulled into that, and I feel like I would
Yeah.
love to just. How did you know you were starting to burn out? You know, like, what are there some red flags for startups? Like when you're starting to go down that path, can you course correct?
Yes and no. It depends how stubborn you are. Yeah, I remember my first red flag was I was in a we were actually it was early on, like in an accelerator program, and I woke up one morning and my legs just wouldn't move. Like I couldn't get out of bed.
Goodness.
And it was very strange. And it never happened again, honestly. But yeah, I remember just lying there and just sort of processing like just being confused. Um and it took me like a good 20 minutes, and then I just something clicked and I got out of bed. And then yeah, I was living in Santiago, in Chile at the time for the accelerator program, and yeah, I got on my bike, cycled through town, and just to the nearest cafe, ordered a matcha latte, and was like staring out the window and thinking, "What the hell just happened?" And then the second thought immediately was like guilt. I was like, I should be at the office right now. Like, why am I not at the office?" And I think like that. I mean, that was my like first signal that I ignored. Honestly, I went back to the office and that was it. um but I think I mean, our bodies are very wise, and they tell stories, and they talk to us, right? And it's on us to listen. um I think there's no honor in hustling and pushing through beyond all means, because you always lose in the long term. That just never works.
No, well said. I will end with one last question. I ask everybody, what are you currently reading?
Good question. What am I currently reading? I'm just looking. I have my pal next to me. I'm just looking. Oh yeah, yeah. It's an interesting one. I'm reading Unbound. It's a woman's guide to power by Kasia and Rabaniak. It's very interesting. It talks about power dynamics relevant of gender, and how to yeah, how to turn them in your advantage. And it's sort of saying that, and which makes a lot of sense, that it's
Mhm.
all about the awareness, and you're either inward or outward sort of energy. And it pretty much tells you how to make sure that you can use power dynamics to your advantage. And it's been helping me a great deal. I've been becoming even better at negotiating. And yeah, it's a really fun guide to for women to step into their true power. Yeah.
I love that. So it's called Outbound.
Unbound.
Unbound, Unbound.
Unbound. Yes.
I'm writing that down. That's really great. Well, okay, we'll wrap up. Thank you very much, Valerie, for sharing your story and some tips and tricks. I would love for anybody who feels like they'd like to connect and support what she's building, the community that she's got, please feel free to reach out to her. I will link the books, her community, and ways to contact in the description of the video so that people can do that. And then we'll also do a member spotlight in the MaxQ community so you have a chance to meet her and say hello. So with that, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Molly. It's great talking to you.